Hey guys, I wanted to do a track breakdown for the title track of my new EP, Lost Cause, out now on Polytype Limited. Let's have a listen. Okay, let's start with the kick. So the kick has 3 layers. First one is just a sample from Bound to Divide sample pack, and I've just taken the end off the kick and then added some overdrive. So without the overdrive, just a bit more subby, and I've just added some click. Second layer is a pre-kick sample. So it's just giving it that kind of little whooshing or zapping effect at the beginning. And if I play this with the kick, and then I remove it, you can tell the difference. Just something I like to do sometimes. Then we have a ghost kick. And this is just a different kick sample, turned down, and then low passed. If I turn that off, you can hear the difference. Let's have a look at the bass. Quite a few layers. So first we have a sub bass. Just using Hive for this. And this is just a square and a sawtooth, which is low passed. It has a tiny bit of modulation on the filter and then a bit of compression. Nothing else. Then we have a Pro Q3, just cutting off, again, just low passing, making sure we keep it subby. And then we have some sidechain against the kick. Second layer, a bit more complex. So we have a wavetable, and we have these 2 oscillators. Let me turn off the processing. So we have this first oscillator, 5th brutal, and then a second one, which is just a saw wave. And then we have the usual envelope 2 controlling the filter frequency, just giving it that plucky sound. Then we add some EQ, cut out the sub because we already have the sub. And then we have this parallel delay, which I use a lot, which is one channel letting the dry signal through and the second one cutting off at 250, and then with this delay on it. And I'm actually using the filter here on this one, so the delay is coming through around 400 or 500. And then this is sidechained against the dry signal. So when that dry signal comes through, the delay turns down. Okay, layer 3. Pretty simple patch. In fact, this is just a saw wave with some distortion, some chorus and compression. Decapitator to beef it up on the beefy G2 setting. And again, cutting out the sub and some sidechain. Let's have a look at the final layer. So Diva preset, I may have changed slightly, but it's essentially 3 saw waves playing different octaves. And then we have some chorus. Again, we add some EQ to taste. And then I have this parallel delay again, but with slightly different settings on the feedback. Feedback at 35%. So let's play the kick and the bass together. Okay, so let's have a look at the drums. So first we've got this closed hat. So you can see this is playing, and it's a 909 closed hat, very simple. We have another kind of more kind of shakery hat underneath. Again, we have this kind of zappy shaker that just plays before the main hat comes in. And then we have these two other very quiet shakers either side. Again, with a tiny bit of processing. And there's actually some saturation on this as well. Then we have an open hat. Very simple 909 open hat. Not done much to this at all. Just some EQing. And again, some saturation. I like to saturate the drums a lot. We have this ride that comes in later. And the MIDI on this, you can see there's some velocity differences, which is giving it that bouncy feel. Some EQ and some slight side chaining as well. Then we have this shaker, and I put these shakers in mono. So first one is just a shaker loop, and I've just taken this section of it. But then I've filtered it, and I've used a utility and put this into mono. So I want to have one mono shaker and then some wide shakers. And the second one, this DS shaker, this is the drum synth within Ableton. I've just messed around with the settings here, but this is essentially white noise. And again, I put this into mono. So these two sounds are right down the middle. Then we've got this second shaker. It's a lot more groovy. So while the previous one was down the middle, this one's kind of grooving. It's got this disco subtle groove on the clip. Then we have the Haas effect using a delay. So if I take this off, we have some saturation. We have some side chain, and then we have this parallel noise generator, which is introducing some white noise with the vocoder, and then the LFO is controlling the release time on the white noise. So we just hear that noise coming through every now and again. A lot more movement in this one. Then we have this shaker straight. Play with the velocity here. And the sample is actually has more of an attack, which we've cut off using the sampler. And then it also has this resonator. So it's a lot more choppy without the resonator, giving it some character. We have the Haas effect. We have some EQ. And we have the vocoder with the LFO. So if I turn all these off for a second. Very choppy. Made it a lot more subtle and in the background with the effects. Then we have this hat grooves. So we have this one pretty simple pattern again. Some slight differences in velocity. But for this one, this is the sample. But it has some pitch envelope on it. So if I turn this off, So it gives it more of that kind of pitchy feel. I could turn this all the way up. That's too much. I've also used the LFO on this one, so it's on random, and we're kind of changing, there's some small changes in volume, pitch, and pan. So again, it's just giving it a bit more of an interesting feel. Then again, some saturation. I've used the hard curve here. So if I turn this off, very quiet. So I've used some hard saturation. And again, we have the parallel noise that we had on the previous one. So all these things are, you know, very, very subtle, but they add something when, you know, you add them to multiple tracks. And we have the clap. So this is 4 layers, a 909 clap, another sample, I'm not sure where this one's come from. And again, and then we have this kind of like rim shot. Just some EQ at the end. To the group, I've added this Saturn gentle saturation, just so the clap comes out a bit more in the mix. So before and after. Then I have these pan hats, and they're just panned to each side. You can also see in the MIDI that they're alternating here. Okay, so let's have a look at the perks. First we have this tom. It's an F9 808 tom. Just cutting out the lows. And then we have this delay, which is playing 1/16. And there's a slight change in the left and right. So again, it's just giving it something in the sides. Then we have this perk grooves. So this one I've just cut down. It's kind of like an FX sample. Some decapitator. Some EQ. Some has effect. Some saturation again. We have a look at the other one. So again, if I take the EQ off, quite a different sound. We just filtered out those highs. We've got some saturation and some EQ, but set to 3/16 and 5/16, so something different. Then we have this texture loop. So without the EQ, with the EQ, we're just putting it in the background. Again, some saturation, and I've turned on the soft clip, so it's just cutting off the tops. Then we have this clave, and this is playing from Shimmer Shake Strike. Really cool plugin if you want to find some interesting shakers. Has like wood blocks in here, claves. There's some delay and reverb in here as well. And it gives you interesting patterns. Again, saturation. I'm always saturating the drums if it's needed. And some sidechain compression. Okay, then we have 2 resamples. Both of these will have been me playing drums and then using Tantra. And then just some creative EQing to come up with some background textures. So if I play all the textures together, That's just giving like a bit of something you can hear. You can't really hear in the mix, but if you take it out, it will make a difference. So that's the drums. Let's play all the drums together. Then let's have a look at the synth. So the interesting thing about this track is this is the only lead element in here. So there are no other synths apart from, all we have is the drums, the bass, the effects, and this synth. So just something interesting to think about. You don't have to fill the track with lots of different ideas and synths if it doesn't need it. Having said that, I'm trying to get the most out of this one element. So let me start with the patch. Very, very simple patch. This is literally a saw wave with a filter, some distortion, some chorus and reverb. Nothing crazy at all. Envelope 1 is very plucky. Yeah, we're only using envelope 1 here. And the LFO is just creating some movement on the filter. So let's have a look at the processing. First we have an EQ8, just cutting out the lows. We have some redux. We have another EQ. We have some about 6 dBs of compression. We have a delay. Ping pong delay, just filling out the sides again. We have this parallel noise generator again. So I'm using this a lot because there are no other elements in the track to fill out the background. So you can see the release changing here. Then we have a chorus. It comes in about halfway through. And then we have some more soft saturation at the end. So the key thing with this one is, trying to keep it as interesting as possible. So you can see all the automation I have here. We're automating the noise as we go into the breaks. We have the redux turning on and off, and the sample rate changing. We're also automating these macros here. So we have filter, resonance, reverb, and the sustain, which is moving up now. So the other interesting thing about this one is we're actually starting in D major. And then we're switching to a D minor. So we're going back and forth, and we're able to do that because we don't have any other melodic elements, so nothing's clashing. Then when we get to the drop, just before the drop, we are in major, but we're playing this E. And then we switch to an F. So that just gives an interesting change at the drop, even though it's only one note. Let's have a listen. Okay, and finally, let's look at the FX. So we have this kind of faller, which is a preset from Zebra Hans Zimmer. with some redux, some delay. EQ's not doing much. So most of this is just in the preset. Very simple. And we have another faller here. From Zebra 2 this time. Just with some delay on it. And another one here. Same thing. So Zebra is really good for finding these kind of FX sounds. If you just want something that's kind of unusual, they have some really good libraries in here. And here is another one. So these are all just presets. I have probably didn't change these, or very, very slightly. And I've just added some delay. Then we have the usual noise sweep. This rack has a lot inside it, but it's basically an operator playing some white noise. And then this auto filter with a bandpass, which is sweeping across, and it's automated. Then with some auto pan, some phaser, some delay, and some reverb. So let's have a look at the sweep. Then I have this dark noise, which is actually the same rack, but I've just turned off this EQ, so we get more of the lower frequencies coming through. Then we have a couple of risers. These are resamples, so I think I made these just with a synth and then automating the pitch going up. Then on the processing, you can see we have Sound Toys effects rack, so we have a tremolator, giving it some movement, an Echo Boy, and a Pan Man. So this is giving the whole thing a lot of movement. So if I bypass this, if I turn it on, and finally we have this longer riser here. So without the effects, with the effects rack. And finally, I've got this bass bomb that comes in right before the drop. Again, this is a preset on Zebra that just automates the pitch, so it has a kind of falling effect. So let's play the effects together at the drop. So let's play it all together. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you like the content. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more of these. And if you like the track, it's out on the 1st of July on all platforms. See you in the next one.